The new normal. It's the new buzzwords. Everybody's saying it. Press, media, governmental officials, anybody that's an expert, that's got input on this whole COVID bullshit. They're coming out with a new normal. What's going to be the new normal? Well, okay, I got a question. Or 10. What is the new normal? Why do we have to have a new normal? Further, what's normal? You have to have a baseline normal in order to either A, go back to it, or B, change from it. What's normal? Our society and economy and market is not normal. It's chaotic. I guess you could call that normal. But now, it's the new normal. We're going to have a new normal. Things are going to change, that kind of stuff, right? So I did a video yesterday about neuro-linguistic programming, otherwise known as NLP, and how it's used to change your thoughts. So a couple of things I didn't touch on yesterday were there's things that are done to socially program society. You have authoritative figures that come out with a new buzzword or catchphrase or whatever, and then it's repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. The seed planting is the appeal to authority argument they use because this expert said this is the new thing. And then the media affiliates you guys have seen the collages where it's the same, ABC or CBS, whomever's affiliate news stations throughout the country, and they're talking off the same script to the exact same words, right? So there's two things that go along with changing a social narrative or controlling a social narrative. One is appeal to authority because an expert said. B, it's repeated and repeated and repeated. So if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes the truth, right? So here we have the media and governmental officials and experts, doctors and scientists and Bill Gates and all these people talking about this new normal. And people are accepting that as truth. It sort of kind of makes sense to them, so they just accept the whole gambit. Okay, well, time out for a second. What's the new normal going to be? Are we talking about having to have proof of a vaccination before you can travel? I don't know, kind of violates the Constitution. If you have a vaccination, that's controlled medical information. It's protected by constitutional law that information is private. The only people that can get to that information is the people with the need to know. So, if you're going to travel, from here to Timbuktu, and you go to the airport, you got to show proof that you've been vaccinated to, well, in this country, a TSA agent. Do they have the proper HIPAA training? Do they know what medical information is? Do they have access to that medical information? Do they have the need to know? No, they don't. So along with this new normal, it's going to be changes to laws. If you want to go to the store to purchase something, are you going to have proof of a vaccination? If you don't have proof of a vaccination, which is again divulging medical or classified or protected medical information, well, you have to wear a mask. Sorry, no. All right, you can get into the argument. It's that individual business's rules, and if you want to shop in that store, you got to abide by the rules. Kind of like the no shoes, no shirt, no service, right? Well, no, because in this case it'll be the government mandating. It takes away the business owner's choice. So is that the new normal? We now can curtail businesses as to what they can and cannot do, as far as a fair practice. Is that the new normal? Is the new normal going to be where city officials, mayors, governors, state legislatures, whatever, can dictate what is and is not an essential business? Is that the new normal you want? Is that the new normal you're accepting? It's none of the government's fucking business what a business does. All right, so you have the whole, the prostitution thing, right? Where it's illegal except out in Nevada. Well, I'm against that. Strictly from a free market dictate, or from a free market thought. Two consenting adults want to pay to have sex, that's their fucking business. Anyway, so now the government's not only going to control your travel, your movement, not only are they going to try to control what you do and do not have to wear, now they're going to control what you can and cannot do as a business. Oh, you want to open a restaurant? No, sorry, it's not essential, can't do it. You want to open up a bar? No. Well, you can, but you can only have 10 people in there at one time. Well, how's that bar or restaurant supposed to make money? They're not going to make money off 10 people at a time. It's just simple economics. For a restaurant or bar to make money, they have to have a certain number of patrons that buy a certain amount of product to create, at least get to the break-even point of their overhead. Overhead being employee salaries, keeping the lights on, keeping electricity there, heating and air conditioning, repairs to the building. There's a whole bunch of overhead, right? So if their break-even point is 100 customers a day, but they're only allowed to have 10 at a time, they may only end up getting 50 customers in that day. Well, they don't reach their break-over point, which means they're insolvent, which means they go out of business, which means the government's mandating, controlling business. Is that the new normal? Is that what you're accepting when you just say, oh yeah, you just mindlessly repeat the new normal? Are you even paying attention to what they're doing? Are you even noticing how this has been slipped into the mainstream vernacular? The new normal. It's going to have to be a new normal. The new normal going to be more shutdowns, more quarantines, more social distancing stuff when the next flu season hits. The flu, just as deadly as COVID. Shut up. It is. Shut up. Do the math. If you haven't done the math, shut the fuck up, Karen, and go the fuck away. So we're going to start shutting down the economy because, flu? Or when COVID 3.0 hits, it's just every time we have a new virus, a new zoological virus hit, we're gonna shut everything down again? What's this new normal? Why are you even repeating that without thinking through what that means? Are you perfectly willing to accept the government getting even more control of your life with regards to what business can and cannot operate, what you can and cannot do inside of that business, what you can and cannot do with your own life, travel? Michigan, prime example, she put out that dictate as part of her executive order, the governor did, that if you own 2 residences, you can't travel back and forth between the 2. You have to stay at one. Part of that as well is you can't travel and go hang out at a buddy's house if you don't live there. Is that the new normal you want? Because keep in mind, I say buddy, but that could be family. You won't be able to go check up on grandma. You're the one we're supposed to be protecting, right? The new normal, because it's what everybody says we got to do. It's a given fact. It's going to change. No, it's only going to change because you allow it to. Because you don't question it. Because you don't raise the question or raise the alarm going, whoa, time out. Define this. Define it very specifically. Don't accept generic fluff, bullshit arguments or bullshit excuses, or where they shift the goalpost and when you ask them specifics and they start shifting over to another subject without answering your question. Don't allow that bullshit to happen. Hold them accountable. That's everybody. Your friends, your family, your politicians, the experts. Well, define new normal. Give me a 1 through 20 of the specifics that are going to change from what we understood as normal to this new normal. And in each one of those, subparagraph it with who's in charge of it, who controls it, who dictates it, for you to get a true understanding of what they're talking about. Mandatory vaccines, is that going to be part of the new normal? You're going to have to allow somebody to invasively go into your body against your will. It's not an anti-vaxxer argument. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to vax, great. If you don't want to vaccinate, great. It's your fucking choice. And for you vaccinate people that don't like anti-vaxxers because you think they're going to bring death and destruction, well, if you're fucking vaccinated and your kids are fucking vaccinated, you don't have to fucking worry. It's just them making their decision. They're the ones that are going to have to suffer for it. What gives you the fucking right to demand that somebody have a needle put in their fucking body with ingredients and unknown chemicals, well, undisclosed chemicals being put in their body. You have no fucking right to do that. My body, my choice, right? Isn't that how that works? You can't tell me what to do with my body, but yet if you're pro-vaccine, or if you're pro-mandatory vaccine with regards to what's going on with Corona right now, you're a fucking idiot. You're a hypocrite. It ain't your fucking choice to decide whether what happens to somebody else's body, what gets put into their body or not. It's not your fucking business, Karen. And yes, that goes for the male versions of Karen too. Karen is a unisex term. Fucking deal with it. So we want this new normal. We're accepting this new normal. We don't know what it means. We don't know what it entails. We don't know the further restrictions or invasive stuff that's going to happen to us. Mandatory vaccine, getting back to that. Is that going to be part of the new normal? Who's going to enforce it? What happens if I say, you ain't putting shit in my body? I have rights to do certain things. Now, if I don't get this vaccine, are those going to be restricted, curtailed, revoked? Freedom of travel, protected by the Fifth Amendment. If I can't travel because I don't show proof of vaccination, you show me your papers, isn't that a violation of my civil rights? I can't go into a store because I don't have proof of vaccination via a mandatory or governmental mandate, not because that business specifically makes you have a proof of vaccine. That's my right to commerce. You're violating the fucking Commerce Clause. But yet, you just blindly accept the new normal term. They're manipulating you. Your government, no matter what your thoughts are, no matter how you feel about it, is nefarious. They do not have your best intentions in mind when they do things. They do not. Call me whatever you want. There are some people in government that do have their heads and hearts in the right place. I'm not denying that. But as a whole, as an entity, they don't care about you. They care about retaining their office. They care about retaining their power. Nancy Pelosi being a fucking example, holding up the Small Business Act, the $250 billion they wanted to get pushed through, because she wants to put her bullshit in there, which goes to her base constituents that vote for her. It's simple. There's no debating that. That's what she's doing. And then she stands in front of her refrigerator with $12 fucking ice cream. That is your Marie Antoinette let them eat cake moment. It's even worse because she's not giving you any of that cake. She's eating it herself. That's your government. Government is not an all-knowing. It is not the greatest of intention place. It isn't. Every one of our founding fathers, every one of them that signed your name to the dotted line of the Declaration of Independence, all of them that signed the bottom line to the Constitution, all the states were deathly afraid of a centralized government, federal government. All of them have stated that government is supposed to be held at arm's length, not necessarily despised, but they're supposed to be checked, rechecked, and then checked again. They're supposed to be, every time they try to breach the restrictions of the Constitution, they should be held in check. The founding fathers agreed that the federal government was a necessary evil, not that it was a necessary good. That was never an argument. That was never a debate when they were founding this country. The government is a necessary evil. So if you're one of the ones who takes you think the government is benevolent and they know what they're doing, they have the best intentions in mind, look at Dr. Fauci. He is a representative of the government. Look at what he is doing and has done. It's right there for you. He doesn't have your best intentions in mind. He doesn't. One could argue he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, considering this is the second or third pandemic that has happened under his watch and we weren't prepared for it. And there he is in 2017 saying there will be a surprise pandemic under President Trump. He's got ties to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You know, the ones pushing the vaccine, the ones that own the patent to the fucking vaccine. but they're benevolent and you just accept what they say? The media is not your friend. The media is even worse than the government. They perpetuate the lies. They're the ones that are seed planting you. They're the ones that are manipulating you with that NLP stuff I spoke about yesterday. They're the ones that are repeating a narrative in order for you to accept it, and that is now the new truth. They're worse. They're the lapdogs. They're the whipping posts, or whipping boys, if you will, of the government. You don't have access to the government like the press does. You just can't go up to DC during a presidential briefing and ask the president questions, can you? He works for you. You can't go up to Pelosi or Schumer or any politician and go to any of their briefings and start asking them random fucking questions. The media does. They're supposed to be our watchdogs, but what are they doing instead? Both sides of this. I'm not singling out one side or the other because they're both as guilty of it. They push a narrative, reinforce the narrative with appeal to authority arguments, reinforce the narrative with false correlation arguments, and you accept it. We accept it. The new normal. What do this. Start asking your friends or family the new normal. You phrase it like, hey, I heard on the news today they're talking about a new normal. What do you think a new normal is? Or what do you think it's going to be? I'm sure you have your own thoughts, but just listen to what they say. I can almost guarantee you won't get the same answer when you ask 10 people. You may get one or two that say the same thing. They're going to tell you what you've heard on the news. So then ask them the questions that I'm asking. You don't have to be a dick about it. You don't have to cuss like I do or whatever. That's just how I am. But start asking them questions about, okay, well, if we have to do this, social distancing thing, who's going to enforce that? Who's got the right to govern that? Is it going to be a new governmental office? The governmental office of social distancing enforcement? Ask them. Just ask them. Start asking the questions. If you see the Karens of the world about we're all going to die, there's going to be, you guys are all causing us to stay inside longer, start asking them, what's the new normal? How do we get to normal? How do we even get to some semblance of normal, get out from underneath these restrictions that we have with, essential businesses not working, people unemployed and all stuff? Well, how do we get to that? You won't get the same answer from 2 or 3 different Karens. You're all going to die, according to Karen. But you're not going to get the same answer from them. Because the new normal, just like assault weapon, just like all the shit the government has tried to push, is made up bullshit. It's a made up term that's been, what do they call it? When you put an idea in front of people and they all say, this is the best way to say it. It escapes my mind at the moment. But it got put in front of people and they decide, yeah, that's the easiest term to accept. It isn't just some random shit that somebody came up with. Or excuse me, it is some random shit that somebody came up with, but it was voted on that that'd be the best way to push this forward, and that's why the media is now pushing it. That's why your friends and family are pushing it, because the media is pushing it to you. Don't accept it. Challenge it. Even if you agree that we need or are going to have a new normal, okay, you have your own impression or interpretation of that in your head of what you think the new normal should be, right? You do. Even if you accept it, start asking yourself, okay, what's the cost, benefit, risk, reward of these new things we're gonna have to do? How is this gonna benefit me or benefit anybody? And another thing I wanted to touch on, there's an acronym, NIMBY. Stands for Not in My Backyard. This one drives me freaking crazy. There's an old story that's used to explain NIMBY. So there was a certain state that was wanting to build a new correctional facility. Okay, the counties of the state were all wanting it because it brings new jobs, it brings employment, it brings revenue into the county, right? So counties fought over it, not fought physically, but petitioned for it and all that stuff. Well, it was awarded to a certain county. Okay, so right, county, you've been awarded, we need this built by such and such time. Okay, well then the next thing you have to do is find a place, property to build it on. So they started looking at different areas of the county. They decided, okay, we're going to pick this spot right here. The residents that live by there said, oh no, you're not. These same residents that wanted the prison in their county for the revenue, right? Oh no, you're not building that in my backyard. No, not going to happen. So then they went to another location. Same thing. Residents like, no, you're not putting that in my backyard. So the people want the benefit of the new jobs, the new employment, the new revenue, but they don't want to pay the price because it might upset them. It puts them at risk of an escapee getting out of jail. It drives down their property value. Okay? You Karens that are demanding everybody sit down, that is what you are doing. You want everybody to stay home so you can feel safe, which is an example of a NIMBY argument. Not in my backyard. If that's how you view things, that's how people vote too. When you're looking at policy decisions or whatever, right? They want to vote for something that benefits them, regardless of how impactful it is in the negative aspect of other people. That's what you do. Hardly anybody looks out for the better good. That's a very hard term to define based on the given set of circumstances. I get that. But yet, oh, you're not going to do that. We're not going to vote for that because that's going to have a negative impact on me, even though it would have a positive impact on the community at large. You're not doing that because it's going to affect me. It's your right to do so. You're a sovereign individual. You're a sovereign being. Look out for yourself, right? Totally get it. But the NIMBY people are the ones that drive a lot of things. Oh, that prison got built, but it got built in an area where the population didn't speak up and fight it hard enough. So when policies are voted upon or brought forward and the NIMBY people start saying, oh no, no to that, well, they're affecting everybody else. And the same with the people who say, oh yes, they're affecting everybody else. Pay attention to the NIMBYs. The NIMBY argument is we want this, but you're not doing it here because it affects me in a negative fashion. But it's a good thing to have somewhere else. Watch them. And then the other version of the NIMBY people are the people that either talk negative about a given subject or talk positive about a given subject because of how it affects them. And one of the biggest examples I can give you is when it comes to voting, people that are on welfare. I'm not talking about just temporary assistance, I'm talking welfare. With over a 93 or 94% rate, who do they vote for? They vote for the people that are feeding them. They vote for the people that are going to keep them on welfare or keep providing them with welfare. So they don't have to do anything. It benefits them the best, right? I get money, I get life-sustaining support, I get medical coverage for free. I don't have to work for it. I just have this negative stigma to deal with. But how does that impact everybody else? If you work for a living, you don't get anything free. You have to pay for it. For yourself and for your family. Well, now with people that are on the welfare assistance programs, you got to also pay for them. All right, so before you get all fucking panties in a twist, there are people that legitimately can't work. Understood. There are people that legitimately need the assistance. I'm not arguing that point. What I'm talking about is people that can, that don't, that are on full-blown welfare. Who do they vote for? They vote for the people that are going to sustain that same income for them. fuck everybody else. I'm going to sit home, draw a welfare check, get free medical insurance. I'm not saying it's the best medical insurance in the world, but you get it. They get all this for free. Food stamps, or SNAP, or whatever the fuck it's called now. Without having to do anything other than live. Who do they vote for? And the inverse to that is typically, this is where it gets split. The people that actually work for a living and sustain themselves, their votes split. They split their vote based on ideology, all right? But the poor, as a block, the people that are on welfare, and you can go above, one step above that too, the people that are poor, over a 90% rate, vote for the people that are going to pay them, feed them. The people that promise them free college. The people that promise them forgiveness of student loan debt. Why? Because it benefits them the best. Are you one of those people? Do you vote or look at or critique issues, policies, because of how it affects you directly and don't look at the bigger picture? Are you a NIMBY? I'm not. One of the things that got drilled into you as part of the military service is selfless service. You serve for the benefit of others, okay? There's also, loyalty, duty, honor, respect, all that kind of stuff, but selfless service. I've learned that me individually, I'm part of a bigger group of people. If I take from other people, that means other people don't have what they necessarily need. It's not me. It's not how I'm wired, right? I'm going to keep what I have to sustain myself and protect my family, by all means. But I'm not going to benefit myself at the detriment of other people. Okay? Selfless service. If you're a NIMBY person and it's all about you, why don't you think about your neighbor? I mean, that's how we're looking out for with this whole COVID stay-at-home thing, right? We don't want to get other people infected. Hope it's starting to make sense. I really do.